Well, Governor, how about getting the inductions for the Oklahoma Hall of Fame class of 2021 underway? How about introducing our first presenter?
I'll be honored, Chief. Our first presenter is no stranger to this stage. A 2014 Oklahoma Hall of Fame inductee, a product of Southeastern Oklahoma, and country music superstar. Please welcome Blake Shelton.
That's pretty damn good. That's a good song. Hello, everybody. I'm Blake. I've known that I was going to come out here and do this for a few months now, at least, maybe longer than that. And I've been excited about it. It's been something that I haven't thought that much about because the guy that I'm going to be introducing is literally one of my best friends in the world, and easily the person that I have the strongest musical connection with of anybody on the planet. And I've spent, I don't even know how to add it up. I've spent, if you added it all up, months at a time with this guy in the studio working and recording, and I've had the greatest conversations with this guy that you can ever imagine. And so I thought this would be easy, these are the kind of conversations that you wish you could have with your mom or your dad, but you find this other person in your life that you have this great connection with, and you have those moments, and so I thought, man, I'll get up there and I'll talk about, the stuff that Scott and I talk about when we're in the studio working together. And it wasn't until last night, literally, as I was about to fall asleep, that I thought, man, I got to get up and get some things done, get up here tomorrow. And I started thinking about what I was going to say. And then I realized 95% of those conversations that we've had in the studio were about football, hot wings, and boobies. I'm sorry, Terry. That's just what guys do. So I decided that I would actually write some things down, and so I'll just read this as I thought of it last night, knowing that I was going to be introducing one of the greatest people that I've ever met into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Back in the early 90s, I was still just a teenager in Ada, Oklahoma, with the dream of being on the radio someday. And I remember a friend of mine, his name was actually Larry Large. He's the guy who introduced me into the Hall of Fame. He called me one day. I was still in high school, and he said, hey, you got to watch the news tonight. They're doing a story, and I think it was probably the CMAs or ACM week, whatever was going on. They were doing a story, a local story here in Oklahoma about Scott Hendricks, because he was probably up for no telling how many awards that night. Anyway, Larry said to me, he said, you got to watch the news tonight, man. They're doing a story on Scott Hendricks, and he's the guy that's making all those records on Alan Jackson that you're hearing on the radio. He's the producer of Brooks and Dunn, Restless Heart. I really think you need to watch this story that's coming on the news, and then we just need to go meet him. And you're from Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma. You're a country singer. He makes country records. This will be easy. He'll just like you because you're from Oklahoma, and you'll be a big star. So, obviously, after I moved to Nashville, I found out that Scott Hendricks was in very high demand. He was probably the most sought after producer in Nashville then, and actually now, by the way, and I'm sure they're going to roll some stats about this guy here in a minute, and you're going to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, turns out that my path led me down a completely different direction when I got to Nashville, and my first big breaks just went a different direction. Didn't involve Scott Hendricks, and I had a little bit of success early on, but then the wheels started coming off a little bit for me as an artist in my career and my personal life. Just things were going a little bit haywire in my life, and wouldn't you know it, as fate would have it, some changes were happening in Scott Hendricks' career at the same time too, and he ended up being the head of A&R for Warner Brothers Records. And when he came over to the label, he inherited me, this guy who was, you know, at the time, a struggling artist, to B-level, quickly slipping to a C-level artist. And I was in need of a miracle and a record producer at the time. And there's a table full of people right there that can vouch for me. And, you know, I think at the time Scott thought, well, this is my job. I just took over A&R at this label. I got to try to figure out how to help this kid. And I'll bet you that nobody in Nashville saw it coming, but the entire country music industry was about to find out what happens when you put two hard-headed Okies in a studio together. And we've had a hell of a run. I actually looked it up last night. I put it here somewhere. Oh, here it is, because I had to figure it out. Since Scott and I have started working together, we've had 24 number one hits together so far. And I put in parentheses here also, and some other shit that should have been number one. Sorry. But, you know, the truth is, Scott Hendricks didn't just make records on me. He changed my life. He really did. And I know this guy well enough to know that he absolutely agonized and hated to ask me to be here tonight because of my schedule, and he just never wants to put anybody out. But the truth is, I'd have moved mountains. I would have moved heaven and earth to be here for this guy tonight. This is one of my best friends in the world, and I am honored to be here tonight for Scott Hendricks. You deserve this. I love you, brother, and I'm proud to be here. I'm honored to introduce you.
From Clinton, Scott Hendricks is country music's most successful producer of the last quarter century. He has amassed more than 126 top 10 singles, with more than 78 peaking at number one. His honors include 8 Academy of Country Music Awards, 4 CMAs, and an Emmy. He was inducted to the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame and the Oklahoma State University Alumni Association Hall of Fame, alongside longtime friend Tim Dubois, whom he traveled to Nashville with following graduation. Always interested in music, Hendricks remembers well what led up to his first guitar.
When I was 10, I saw, somewhere around age 10, I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. And when I saw that, it just had a profound effect on me. I immediately picked up a broom, went out in the street, called my friends and gave them brooms, and I said, you stand like this, this is how Paul McCartney stands. You stand like that with your legs like this, that's how John Lennon stanza, and let's just play like we're the Beatles, and then let's play like the girls are chasing us. And not knowing anything other than that, it literally changed my life and world, and I didn't know it at the time. So the next thing it was, well, I guess I better learn how to play guitar. So somewhere around that age is when I saw them and asked for a guitar for Christmas.
In high school, he was a two-time All-State guitar bass musician in stage band and played in several bands, honing his musical skills. At OSU, Hendricks worked part-time for 4 years at the Audiovisual Center, where he learned how to be a recording engineer. Arriving in Nashville, he sold recording equipment by day and worked for free in the recording studio at night. Quickly making a name for himself, Hendricks began engineering and mixing for Nashville's top producers. Hendricks has worked both independently as a producer and engineer, as well as in executive positions. In the early 90s, he founded the music publishing company Big Tractor Music. In 1995, he was named president and CEO of Capitol Records, signing Trace Adkins and Keith Urban to their record deals. In 1998, he opened the Nashville division of Virgin Records. His production credits are country's who's who, including Alan Jackson, Trace Adkins, Restless Heart, Brooks and Dunn, Faith Hill, Chris Cagle, Dan and Shay, and Blake Shelton, among countless others. In 2007, Hendricks joined Warner Music Nashville and is now the executive vice president of A&R, where he has signed and produced Dan and Shay and has been the producer behind Blake Shelton's last 8 albums. And Hendricks has appeared multiple times as a mentor on NBC's The Voice. With his wife, Terry, Hendricks has found a partner in faith who is equally committed to enriching the lives of others, along with his daughters, Keely and Shay. For over a decade, the couple has partnered with In His Wakes and Mercy Multiplied to create a Day to Remember event for spiritual growth through water sports in troubled lives of young women. This is just one of the many examples where lives are made better through the generosity of Scott Hendricks.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Scott Hendricks. Thank you, Blake. It truly means the world to me that you would take the time out of your crazy schedule to be here for me tonight. That's saying a lot. Blake is my favorite artist I can say I've ever worked with, and I'm grateful that he is my friend. I call him my brother, although that came into question last week when he was in Nashville taping some stuff for TV shows that are going to come out later. I was just tagging along for the day, and at the end of the day, I was sitting there, and a lady came up to me, and she said, "Are you Blake Shelton's dad?" It's like, oh my God. That hurt. I may need some therapy for that one. Well, this is a long way from Clinton, Oklahoma. I'm humbled and honored beyond words for this night. But I didn't get here alone. I had a lot of help. And I wish I had time to thank each and every one of them, but I would like to acknowledge and thank a few. Starting with my parents, who, for some reason, they always encouraged my crazy dreams. My brother Mark, my blood brother Mark, played in countless bands with me as we were growing up, and he became my business advisor later, and he's always had my back.
Diana Hammonds-Nito, who's over here somewhere, sang in a lot of those combos with us because Mark and I could not sing at all, and she sang really great. Floyd Loftus, who's also here tonight, who for some reason hired me to work in the Audiovisual Center. Floyd taught me everything about recording. He also introduced me to Tim Dubois, an Oklahoma musical icon who deserves to be in this hall. And Floyd gave us the keys to go into the studio after hours and record our demos that we would eventually take to Nashville. Our only stipulation was we had to be out by 8 a.m., which we did most of the time. Shortly after moving to Nashville, I met another OSU alum, Ron Treat, who's here with us tonight, who was a recording engineer for many of the iconic records coming out of Nashville. He invited me over to hang out and learn with him, and I did just that. And 9 months later, that studio hired me on, where I began my career as a recording engineer. Tim Dubois, who's sadly not here, and I held musical hands for years as we launched Restless Heart, Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn, to name a few of them. But because of him, I gained my producer wings. John Esposito, Espo, as we love to call him, president and CEO of Warner Music. For more than a decade, we've carved out a lot of musical history along with this table of incredible people who work at Warner Music who somehow make it all happen. Thank you very much. Thank you to Scott Petty, who's here, for being my best cheerleader, and I love to say that he was Pistol Pete. Gives me joy to tell everyone that. Thank you to Bruce, Shannon, Brenda, Janny, Michelle, and the entire Oklahoma Hall of Fame staff, as well as the Hall of Fame board, for making this such a special night. Thank you to all my family and friends who have joined us tonight. That just blows me away that you would take the time to be here. I wouldn't be here tonight without the support of my family, my beautiful wife, Terry, my precious daughters, Keely and Shay. You are everything to me. I thank you for all the sacrifices you've made for me to chase this crazy career. I couldn't love you all anymore. When I first moved to Nashville, I said a prayer, and I asked God to please bless me. I didn't ask him for a #1 record because I did not know what a #1 record was. I didn't ask him to please make me into a record producer because I did not know what a record producer was. I just simply asked him to bless me, and for some reason, he did. I don't know why. I did not deserve it, still don't, but he did, and I've certainly had a precarious life, I think, because of that prayer. Thank you, God. I am very proud to be an Oklahoman. I promise to do everything I can to wear this honor with dignity and humility. May God bless Oklahoma. Thank you.